This is Tar Heel Illustrated publisher Andrew Jones coming to you from Chapel Hill, just in front of Kenan Stadium, the Blue Zone to be exact. A little while ago, Kevin Roy and I were over at the new practice fields taking in the first practice of fall camp for the Tar Heels. They are gearing up for the 2019 season. We got a lot of photos coming later today on THI, a lot of videos. We got to go back in about 45 minutes for post-practice interviews. We got about 8 players that we're going to have access to, plus head coach Mac Brown. So get their thoughts on the first day of fall camp, on how things went today. Kevin and I have a lot of thoughts that we're going to share, not just today, but through the course of the weekend, about things that we saw. A couple of things we're going to have coming to you later today. They didn't do 11 on 11 stuff, so it was kind of difficult to gauge what the depth chart is for the 1s and 2s. But if you go around and take in all the drills and you see enough of it, and you know who the guys are, we got a pretty good idea of where things stand at the 1 and 2 line at all the positions right now. At wide receiver, we went 3 deep because they're going to be playing a lot of kids. And we have what we think right now would be a quarterback rotation. Obviously, with Cade Fortin, Jace Ruder, and Sam Howell, Mac Brown told us on Wednesday, even repetitions when practice begins. It'll be even for at least several days, and somebody starts to separate themselves either by moving ahead or falling back, then that might change things. Today it kind of appeared to both Kevin and me that either Ruder or Howell kind of was going first and Fortin was sort of the third guy. Look, first day, everything is fluid. These things could very well change over the course of the weekend, but that's kind of how we sensed it today. And based on some of the people I've been talking to and what my expectations were, that's kind of the way I thought and think things will play out over the course of this month. And I still believe that 2 quarterbacks will play August 31st in the opener against South Carolina in Charlotte. Running back situation is what it is. No worries about that. We're probably not going to talk a lot about Michael Carter, Antonio Williams, and Javonte Williams this month because you guys already know about them. Defensive line, spent a lot of time watching those guys today. Obviously with Crawford and Strobridge, they're in great shape. With the hybrids, you've got Tamon Fox, they're in good shape with him. Collins looked interesting today, athletic, certainly bigger than a year ago. Lawler bigger than a year ago. So we got some video on those guys. I still don't know how that's going to shake down after Tamon Fox. But the interior line, there's just no depth behind Crawford and Strobridge. Alan Cater is dealing with his thing. He's a hybrid guy, but some of these guys are going to be moving around some. Some of the young guys look like young guys, really young, and it's going to take some time. They got to get their bodies in P5 college shape, and for some it's going to take a while. A couple of kids just look today like they're not going to get on the field this year. This is going to be a year for them to change their bodies, learn the system, and a year from now they might be competing for a spot in the rotation. In the secondary, Dorn, Woolfolk, and Patrice Rene clearly, I think, have spots sewn up. Woolfolk looked really good and ready to go today. Dorn, 100% healthy, showing tremendous leadership on the field when he was in a drill and when he was not doing drills. The 4th DB spot is wide open. And of course, then you've got the nickel position where Trey Morrison has DeAndre Hollins behind him. I think they're in good shape there. They need a 3rd kid just in case there's an injury. And on the offensive line, the starting line is what we projected it would be. You've got Brian Anderson at center. At left guard, you've got Nick Polino. Left tackle, Charlie Heck. Right guard, Ed Montillis. And right tackle, Jordan Tucker. We'll have what we saw as the 2nd team offensive line later on the site today. I didn't spend a whole lot of time with those guys. We have availability to come watch practice on Tuesday when they're in full pads for the first time. I'm going to spend more time with the offensive line then because they'll be doing the kinds of things that we could learn a little bit more from than they were doing today. But going back to the quarterbacks, I know Kevin probably agrees with me. I really like the way Ruder looked today. I really like the way Howell looked. He threw a couple balls sort of short and reading the DB. I think for him, it's just experience learning how to throw against college corners that could come in and cover. And one of the guys covering on a ball that probably should have been picked was Rene, and Rene really looks like a senior right now. And I like the fact that on some of the plays, the reps that Howell was getting, he was throwing with Rene as the quarterback. That's going to escalate his development process. And Fortin looked pretty good too. None of the guys look bad, so don't take it that we might be suggesting that there's those two and Fortin down here. Fortin very well could end up being the guy. It's just the way things look today. I think they're in good hands long term with whoever emerges from that group. All three kids have talent. If one of them leaves, they're going to have a chance to start wherever they go. So they're in good shape long term at quarterback, but it's just a big question mark right now for the Tar Heels. Overall, there was tremendous spirit. There was a tremendous organization. It seemed to me they were more efficient getting more stuff done than they did in the past. And that's not to disparage the previous staff or anything. They have more room here than they had the last 2 years practicing inside of Keenan. To Larry Fedora's credit, he never used that as an excuse. He never said, you know what? This field having to practice in this field is a hindrance, it's limiting us. He never said those things, but it was a hindrance. It did limit what they could do. Today we saw the difference in having all of the facilities, being able to use them at their disposal and what they could get done. Very efficient practice. One of the drills I really liked, they had all the quarterbacks, including the walk-ons, working at the same time, all throwing different routes to receivers. So you'd have 6 different routes going on so they could make all 6 throws at the same time. So it increased the number of reps that they were getting in the allotted time that they have. So great spirit. Mac Brown riding in on his golf cart. It's just a different animal here, guys. It's the mood, the spirit, the atmosphere, everything just looks different. It feels different. Of course, this is a program that's won just 5 games the last 2 years, so they got to win games in order to completely turn the tide, and we're not going to know how they're going to fare in that respect for another month or so. But day one in, I'd say this is a big positive for the Tar Heels. Stay with Tar Heel Illustrated. We're going to have Mac's post-practice interview. We're going to have player interviews coming up. We're going to have a full practice report, and Kevin and I will be sharing our thoughts on the message boards at TarHeelIllustrated.com. This is Andrew Jones with Kevin Roy handling the camera behind the... Kevin didn't want to be in front of the camera today. I'm going to get him in front of the camera at some point because he's better looking than I am. Anyway, thanks for being with us. Come back and check out everything else we're going to have with you today.